Database management system. So database management system is nothing how we are going to manage your data through a software. What software will do, software will take and create a tray for the different data elements, and they will put on that particular tray, and you can you can play with the data. You can take different data elements from different tray and can combine in one specific tray for your purpose. So that is only possible in when you have a database management system. Suppose you do not have a database management system and you have a data, so that data you can put in the Microsoft Word or Microsoft Excel also. There also you are putting some kind of data. But important part is that with that data in the Microsoft Excel or Word, you cannot correlate with any other databases. You cannot create kind of queries. Queries means how many books are being issued to a particular person, how many books are lost in the stock verification. This kind of concept, when you are supposed to do in library perspective, it's difficult to do. Then you need to have a one intelligent kind of software which really create and which really work on the database itself. No other concept, no other component. So it is predominantly work on the database management. So that time you are able to find out the usability of a database management system. Now in this chapter, what we are going to do, the definition of the basic concept, data and information, database and database management system, data hierarchy, data integrity, data independence, then objective of database management system, the need for DBMS, the goal of DBMS, architecture of a DBMS, evolution of a DBMS, chronologically function and component of DBMS, data modeling, entity relationship model, type of relationship, data model, hierarchical model, network model, relational model, object-oriented model. In relational database management system, we will see the characteristic of relation, keys and their function, criteria of a database, a DBMS to a relational, designing a database, then distributed database system, architecture of a distributed database, justification and option for distributing data, normalizations of relation, dependencies, normal form, database system for management support, artificial intelligence and expert system. That's the concept. That's we are going to do it. Now, starting with the need for the database software, the three level of database architecture has been explained. Modeling concept, the role of year model play in the conceptual database design has been discussed. Classical data model, that is hierarchical model, network model, relational model have been explained with illustration. In these chapters, considering the relational database management system are still widely used. Now, relational database technology has been dealt in details. The concept of dependency and normalization have been elucidated with example. This is the concept introduction of your chapter. Now, definition and basic concept of a data and information. We know data is a prerequisite of a information. Now, when data become information, when you have suppose you are putting book data in a book table. So it's you are putting data. That's the information when clubbed together with a different component of data. Accession number, book title, author, edition, series, publisher, place of publication, year of publication, subject heading. There are components. You are putting one. But this is one kind of basic information of the book. Now you have a member. So suppose I wanted to know how many times that particular book being used by the library member. That is basically a specific information for a library. So in that case, when you are going to do that kind of information, create or redesign the information in a different way, then basically you need to have a concept of database management system. So data is there, and you have a when you are processing that data with some kind of software, that is basically called database management software. Now, what is database? Database is collection of logically related data arranged in a structured form designed to meet the information requirement of multiple users. It may also be defined as a collection of non-redundant operational data shareable between different application systems. Now, importantly, I will tell you one database. Suppose there is a reservation databases in a railway network. Suppose what I wanted to know from that databases where the where I will get a reserve purely reserve. We can able to reserve a ticket. That means availability of the ticket. And what is the price of that? Is there any train between my hometown or my workplace? Right. So I wanted to search all those information. But how government and the railway authority will able to understand with that databases how many ticket has been sold within a day, and how many train being cancelled, and what is the loss running, and how we can increase the modality of the railway fare. So these kind of information. So the approach to a particular databases from two different person is different. So data is there and they are being processed, but the usability of the databases when they are using in different purpose, that is basically called information on behalf of database management system. Now you are seeing data, and here is a database management system. Now if you talk about the database management system, it is a collection of a software that is used to store, delete, modify, and retrieve data that is stored in a database. DBMS acted as an interface between the user and the data. So you could understand what exactly the database management subsystem. Now here is a kind of view of a database management system. Here you can see that is the external layout view that's called front end or end user applications. The view 1, view 2, view 3 is different user, and they are different. They are doing differently. Now, this is a conceptual layer. This is basically conceptual schema. And the physical layer. We have already seen the physical layer and physical data structure. Not normally. Here is actual data is residing. The physical schema. Here actually data is residing. We're taking it in a logical manner in a conceptual schema. Through conceptual schema, we are ready with the data. Whenever any kind of information is sought from the viewer 1, we are presenting the same data as it's asked for. At the same time, the view 2 and view 3. So data is there. We are processing over concept in the conceptual schema, and you are representing in different way in 3 different views. That's basically the concept of your database management system. Now here, hierarchy is organization of a data in a descending order of complexity. From this hierarchy, it is clear that the database is made up of files. Files are composed of records, and each record consists of field or data items. Each field is composed of characters, which are made up by bytes. And lastly, bytes decomposed into bits. That's the data hierarchy. Data is organized in a layer. In this computer profession, data is classified in a hierarchy. Each higher level of data consists of one or more items from lower level, depending on the application and end user. Different terms describe the various level of the hierarchy. So hierarchy is nothing. It's a ascending or descending order of a data. How we are going to create a data, and how the data complexity is, means that how that particular data is correlate with the other data. That's basically the data hierarchy. Now here you can see this is database. This is one table, and this is on one table. This table is connected with the so many of records, so many of records. Suppose you are thinking of a book table, right? You are thinking, you just thought of a, think of a book table. Now this is a book table. This is the database, and here is a book table where you are going to input the all detail of the books. Here, if you see the nature of book table, it is consist of so many tables. First one is accession number, right? Then title of the books. Probably title will be here. This is a record, and then author. Author could be here. Then publisher. You need to have a one label record of the publishers, one label record of author, one label record of title. What I'm trying to say is, suppose you are inputting a one title in a database or library automation software, you will find, suppose I am writing introduction to computer. So immediately one drop down is come, and do you record this book? Do you searching for this book? Do you are going to input this book? So they are giving some kind of information. So in behind, they are creating another record label which assists you to input the data. So this is one record. Suppose publishers, even in the call number, even in the subject heading, in call number, if you go for the sole database software, when you are going to put the subject heading or subject of that book, it will give you the DDC number. So they are creating another record table, right? So supplying, when you require on a particular table, it's supplied on that. You just take from it. You do not write and retype once again. So you have to take from the other table. So that is the way, the correlation of data, how data are going to connect it with the different records. That's why that's called basically data hierarchy. Then data integrity, the degree of concreteness, timelessness, and relevance of data stored in a database indicate data integrity. Data integrity can be ensured by certain check and validations producers carried out whenever an update operation is attempted, and also by eliminations of the data redundancy. Some databases management system have features which support data validation. For example, in Oracle, not only Oracle, there are different relational database management. You have to have put some kind of data integrity policy. How we are going to put the year of birth or date of particular date. So that's the kind of format. So you have to redefine the format before data inputations, right? Data addition. And how we are going, suppose you are, that's why you have, I have already told you, you might have known the Mark 21 or Mark Unimark. So Unimark mark is nothing. It's talked about the data integrity for a particular library databases, right? So there is a policy where you can able to create some kind of data integrity through a certain rules and regulation which is available in majority of the relational database management system. Even Sybase has also this kind of integrity. Access is there. As MS SQL, you will find same data integrity strategies. Now, what is important in data integrity is, now, first of all, accuracy usability. How will be your data? Then row count. Every row of a database need to be counted. Then completeness. Every record should be in a complete manner. Then consistency. Consistency means whatever the data will be inputted into the record or added into the record, that need to be consistent. It can be used for a long time. Then validity. Is that the data is valid? Suppose I am inputting a data in a year by a character. It could not be possible. Suppose you are creating a databases or record field for time. On that record field and time, you are taking character input features. So it's not going to be valid. It should be a date and time feature. Then redundancy. There should not be any kind of redundancy in the data integrity. Then referential integrity. Referential integrity is very important because this is basically kind of a relation. How data going to be correlate with the other data, right? That is basically called referential integrity. Then domain integrity, how data will be connect with the domain main databases. So what will be the rules and procedure for connectivity? So that need to be taken care of when you have creating a one kind of databases. Now, data independency. Data independency is a property by which, that means it's a feature kind of thing, by which data files are insulated from the application program that use those files. The close link between the data and the access program is a weakened, and the database made more flexible to user requirements. With data independency, a programmer can write program in a Fortran, Pascal, or any other language of his choice without bothering what language program originally created and file that he want to access. So data independently is nothing when you are writing a program in Visual Basic or Fortran or Pascal on C++. So you need to have a kind of a features that every data means every table need to be very independent. Suppose you are accessing some information and you are writing some script for accessing information on a book table or author table. It should be independent, that you could able to fetch some of information from that particular databases. That's why it's called data independency. It should not be, suppose you are putting book title in one place and the subtitle of the books in other table. No, you have to create book title and subtitle all together in a one format, right? So that's why you are able to take the information from one particular table. That could be with a mark format. That could be different kind of. You can use different kind of digit for that, but it should be in a one place. So that's why you are able to use that. That is all concept. Now here, there are two concepts. It's called logical data independence and physical data independence. Once we keep the data physically independent, it's become very easy to in a logical data independence, because whatever things you are doing in the logical schema, it's based on your physical schema. If you do not have a flexibility in the physical schema, you cannot create a flexibility in the logical schema, in logical level. So we need to create lot of things and lot of free kind of data structure, where through you can able to access the information from logical schema and you can give it to the external layer. So that is the way you can create a logical data independence. Then objective of database management system, the need for them. So the basic need of a database management system is data retrieval, data redundancy, data integrity, data security, data indexing. Data can be kept in MS Word. Data can be kept in MS Excel. But when you are thinking of retrieve of data, it's again complex. Data you can keep. Suppose you have a 10,000 data, you can do it in MS Excel, no problem. When it's become 1 crore data or 1 lakh data, then it creates problem in data retrieval. Then data redundancy. When you are looking at the data in the MS Excel, the whole data coming up in front of you, every part of the data. So if anything kind of deletion or updation happen, it smashes the whole databases. When you are using the one database management system, there you need not to worry about that, because if you want to lock the data, that is possible. So nobody can going to see, nobody can going to change. So your redundancy become higher. Then data integrity. Data integrity is nothing, it's how it's going to correlate with the other databases, so which is literally impossible in the other normal software, which is not database management concept. Then data security, we have already discussed. The last one, data indexing, is one of the most vital, important part of a database management system or data when we are working with the data. When we are working with the data, we need to have a proper indexing system. Through that, where can we able to take out each and every part of the data through searching. And when this is only possible when you have a strong data indexing system. Now, why we're going to do that? This processing queries and object management, this is possible here in the database management system. Controlling redundancy and consistency, of course, it is possible. Efficient memory management and indexing, it is possible in the database management system. Accuracy control and transaction management, exactly it is possible, where in other software it is impossible. Then access control and ease in accessing data, it is also possible. In database management system, where you can restricted yourself with the data, restricted your data with the any user. You can create different user group. On the user group, you can restricted your data according to their need. That is possible in the database management system. Then integrity constraint. Integrity constraint is an important part in the database management system. If you do not have a proper, strong database management system, you are not going to create a integrity on the databases. So in other software, it is not possible. Now, the goal of database management system. The database management system have the following goals: to provide retrieval flexibility. It should be relatively easy to link data from different files, to facilitate reduction of data duplication and elimination of multiple copies of a master file. Data redundancy control help in overcoming updating problem and promotes data integrity. To ensure high level of data independency, the data is hidden from the programming language, operating system, and processing environment. It should be up to DBMS to convert and store data into a format that could be used in whatever the language is programming desired to use. Then evolution of database management system. In 1970, Ted Code at IBM St. Joe's lab proposed a relational database management system. Before that, I will tell you the concept of, we have, in 80s, we started working with the DBase. And on DBase, we have created a lot of data. Then it has came into 1990s is a Foxbase, FoxPro, SQL, then Oracle. Sybase was there in Foxbase and Sybase. Then came MS Access, DB2. DB2 was the probably oldest one, and it was developed. So it was a strong database management system. Then it has came when it was database management system. So immediately it is came after the SQL also came within that part. So it is came as a relational database management system. Now today's date, probably everybody were using database management system. With this concept, I will add on, there is a one software we have used, CDS-ISIS, that is also a database management system, which was used in India previously. Now, then WinSys has came for the database management system for specifically library automation purpose, but that was a Photon-based database system, and it was very good. It was very excellent database, and it was extensively used for the data searching. But there are some cases who have used it in the circulation purpose, but it has not so much of successful. That's why it has gone in a different way. Now, in 1985, object-oriented have came. 1990s, incorporation of the object-oriented in the relational database management system. Then 1991, Microsoft SIP Access Personal DBS database management system. 95, first internet database application. Then XML has appeared. So this is the way the database management system has started. If you look at the different decades, in 1960, traditional file, 1970s hierarchical network, 1980s relational database management, 1990s object-oriented and object relation. Now, in 2000 onwards, we are working on the web-based database management system, right? Web-enabled database management system. So we are much ahead of that in database management system. So this is in 1960, traditional file was there. We have gone through a long. Now, architect of a database management system. If you look at the database management system, has three different single tier architect, two tier architect, three tier architect. Here you can see single tier. In this type of architecture, the database is readily available on the client machine, right? You need not to create any kind of users on that. Here is the client and server machines. So you are creating some kind of, this is two tier. This is two tier. And here two tier, you will see database user, database application, network connection, and database system. It is a two tier. Now, in two tier, you will see you need to have a two concept. You have a network connection over, and you have a server machine. Whereas in three tier architecture, another layer is presented between the client machine and server, right? In this architecture, the client application doesn't communicate directly with the database system presented in the server machine. Rather, the client application communicate with the server application, and the server application internally communicate with the database system presented at the server. So here is the three-tier machine system. So here, server DBMS applications, client DBMS application. This is network. So both the client DBMS and server DBMS talk to each other, and they communicate each other, and they represent into the data to the user, and they're taking out the data from the database system. That is a three-tier database architecture. Then data modeling. The data modeling is a process by which data requirement of an organization or an application area represented. Conceptual modeling is an important phase in designing a successful database application. The traditional approach of a user-entity relationship, ER model, basically entity relationship, model for this purpose enhance ER or EER relationship and modeling object-oriented databases. Now, what exactly entity relationship? Entity relationship is nothing when you are correlating one data to other data. I'm just giving you an example. Here we have a this become two-tier architect has came. It has come to that. Now we'll go to the relational model, but before relational model, we need to see the hierarchical model, network model, and entity relationship model and relational model, right? Then a hierarchical method, this database model organize data into a tree-like structure with a single root to which all the other data is linked. The hierarchy starts from the root data and expanded like a tree. So that's why it's called basically hierarchical model. This is a hierarchical model. This is a college. Suppose this is a college, server, department, infrastructure, courses, teacher, student, theories, and lab. It is coming like that. So it's a hierarchical database management system. Network, almost a distributed kind of thing. Wherever you are going to, it's not like hierarchical model, but it's a kind of extension of hierarchical model. So it's a, suppose A1, B1, C2, C2, B2, B2, but B1, B2 will access from A itself, right? And C can access from here, C3 can access from here. This is a kind of network database management. Then relational, ER model, right? Entity relationship model is a high level data model where entity, the tables or data are correlated, related. That's why it's called relational database management system. In relational model system, you will see is student ID, address, age, and name. They are correlated one places. That's why it's called relational entity concept. Then relational model. When we talk a relational model, then it's called, we'll talk about the Dr. E.F. code. In relational model, what exactly we're talking about, when tables are related, and two-dimensional tables basically, and they are correlated with each other through their primary key. That's why it's called relational model. In relational model, you could see here student ID name, this is student table, and it's a subject table or teacher table. And here you can see student, subject, and you are taking marks from here, right? So this is new concept, but both the table has taken from this table and this table. That's why it's called relational. Then component of year diagram. Year model, entity, attribute, relation. The key attribute, composite attribute, multi-valued attribute, derivative attribute. Relation, one-to-one, one-to-many, many-to-one, many-to-many. That's the relationship concept. Now here you can understand the entity. The entity may be any object, class, person, or places. In the year diagram, an entity can be represented as a rectangle. Consider organization as an example. Manager, product, employee, department, etc. can be taken as an entity. Employee, work, department. This is entity. Weak entity. Suppose loan and installment. A person got loan. Suppose I am not giving the installment. So this is basically entity. Installment is there. I have to give, but I missed it, right? So this is a relation, but it's a kind of weak entity. Now attribute. Here you can see in different concept. I have already talked about that. Student ID, name, phone number. So in student concept, you would see 4 different attributes. That's why it's attribute. Now key attribute. So in key attribute, what is important is that when you adding or inserting or inputting one data, on that particular, in this data, the most common phone number can be same, name can be same, age can be same, or phone number may be different, but suppose I have a two daughter, and both the daughter has given my phone number, right? So phone number can be same, but my daughter or my son's ID will be different. It will be unique. That's why key attribute, we have to choose key attribute from a database. Then composite attribute. In composite attribute, what is important is that you will see it's very flexible. It is not so much of concrete. In composite attribute, you will see the first name, the middle name, the last name, book title, subtitle, subject heading, specific subject heading, right? This kind of concept is basically called composite. Then multi-valued attribute. Suppose phone number, it's a multi-value. It could be a 8-digit, it could be a 3-digit, it could be a 9-digit, 10-digit, right there. Then derivative attribute. Here you can say that in this particular data, you will see age is derivative. It's different, right? But within a parameters, it could not be very different, but within a framework. That's why it's called derivative. Then relations is used to describe the relation between the entities. Diamond or rhombus is used to represent the relationship. This is the rhombus kind of thing, and it's create the relations. What kind of relation? Now, what type of relation? One-to-one relation, one-to-many relation, many-to-one relation, many-to-many relation. I will tell you one important example so you could immediately able to understand. Suppose when we are issuing one book to a student. So what will be the student and book relation? It's many to one. Student, no, it's 1-to-1 relation. It's 1-to-1 relation because one student can get one book only. Or, sorry, it could be a 1-to-many. One student can take many books. So when we are correlating to the book table, user table, student table, and book table, we can create a relation 1-to-many. So one student can take many books. So 1-to-many relations. 1-to-1 relations means when we are creating relation with the transaction table, so your transaction table and book table will be 1-to relation because one book can be issued one time. In many-to-one and many-to-many can be used in different way. So I'm just giving you an example where exactly and how exactly that's are being introduced in our subject area. 1-to-one and 1-to-many. So this is 1-to-1 relation when two concepts are there. Then 1-to-many is there and many-to-one is there. Student, enroll number, course, right? There is a many, 1-to-many-to-1. Then many-to-many, employee, assign, project. one employee, many project, many employee, many project, right? That is the many to many relations. Then object oriented. Object oriented is basically used for creating. That's basically came into 1980s. It's used specifically used for the graphical user interface. Graphical user interface, you know, the computer, the graphically we are using today, it is basically called graphical user interface. And the graphical user interface, everything in the programming are considered object. That's why it is called object-oriented model. So OOM, there are many features of OOM. Is the way modeling passed through following process: system analysis, system design, object design, final implementation. What is the feature? Class and object, link and association, generalization, and inheritance. These are concepts. Now, this is basically a concept of object-oriented. Object-oriented database model, bank name, address, and this is address, Delhi. This is basically one person, bank account is that, one person, this is Ravi, his bank account this, address is this, address is it. There is another person, his or her address is different. Here you can see the maintenance report, activity code, object instance, this is that, and maintenance activity is activity code. So this is basically called concept of object-oriented model, OOA. Benefit, why we're going to do this? Faster development, increased quality, easier maintenance, reuse of software and design framework, reduce development risk for complex system integration. Because previously what happened, the software designer immediately started coding, writing the code. So when object-oriented modeling came, the first what they are doing, they are creating a complete study, year diagram, and everything. When everything has done, then they started working on that coding. So that's why there is no issue of changing code, because they have already experienced with the concept of, and they examine different deficiency of the coding of the applications. That's why it's very popular. Then here are very important aspect is class, object, inheritance, associations. We are normally used in the different language. C++ we are using it, that majority of the programming language, and we are using classes, object, inheritance. That's and carry forward the different programming concept with the inheritance. We can take characteristics, one universal characteristics in different aspect of a program. Then coming to the relational database management, I have already told you the relational database management is nothing. It's a concept of when tables are related. That's why it's basically called relational database management system. And it's very, here you can see some concept. This is database management or database management software. Here, this is basically database management software. And what is important, it's a backend and it's front end. We are always talking about the right now, we're talking on database management, this backend system. So these are the softwares, SolarWinds database, Oracle RDBMS, IBM D2, LTBase, Microsoft SQL Server. These are the database, FrameMaker, Microsoft Access, Informix. Informix was one of the finest software in the world, which has been extensively used in the library application. Now it is no more, nobody going to use it. But once in 1990s, even in 2000, I have seen 1990s up to, Informix was of the finest software, because with this Informix, you can able to create, even Clipper was used for the database management software, library application. Clipper was a software. Through this, both the Informix and Clipper, you were able to create a kind of exe file for applications. This is all our database management software. Now, when we are talking this is a relational database management software. When we apply Dr. EF code rules, the codes are 13 codes are there. These 13 codes are called basically EF code rules. When one database management system are fulfilling the 13 code, then it's called truly a database management software. The rules are foundation rules, information rules, guaranteed rules, dynamic catalog rules, comprehensive data sub-language rule, view updating rule, high-level language rule, physical data independence rule, logical data independence rule, integrity independent rule, distribution independent rule, non-subversion rule. So these rules we have already discussed over here. So you can go through one by one. So these are the rules which are really useful and applicable in the all relational database management system. In all relational database management system, but I will tell you, in the world, there are only probably Oracle fulfilling the 12 rules, Sybase using the 10 rules, MS Access fulfilling the 7 rules. So no database management software in this art right now who are fulfilling all 13 rules. So still we consider if they are fulfilling some of the rules of Dr. EF code, then we will call it relational database management system. Now, why relational database management system? What is the feature? The following terms used for the interchangeably RDBMS jargon: relational, table, database, file, attribute, column, field, tuple, row, record, domain, range, type. These are the attributes of it. Now, characteristic of relation. The relation is always named. So each column and tables, each column can be related. There should be one primary key. So these are the characteristics of a relational database management system. Key under function. You can see here there are three different key, super key. It's a when set of attributes is collected collectively, allow used to identify uniquely an entity is an entity set. That is basically called super key. And primary key, I have already discussed with you that when you are finding a one particular data is a one unique record, that's basically called primary key. And if you talk about the book data, the accession number is the primary key. When you talk about the student data, the roll number is the primary key. Now, foreign key. When we are using one primary key into different table, then it's called usually foreign key. Why it is foreign key? That foreign key is representing the other table. That's why it's called foreign key. Now, normalization and relations. We have already talked about the different kind of normalizations, but here some of the insertion anomalies, deletion anomalies, and addition anomalies, which can be thrown out in the relational database management system. There is hardly any kind of anomalies. That's why relational database management has become so popular. Now, these are the normalization is used for the mainly two purpose: eliminating redundant or ensuring data dependency makes sense, data and logical storage. So these are the concepts with the relational database management system. Problem without normalizations. There is a problem with the normalizations, but it is important somewhere. We have to think on that. Now, insertion anomalies, there are a lot of anomalies over there. Then addition anomalies, there's the deletion anomalies there. First normal form, second normal form, third normal form, BCNF, and fourth normal form. This is first formal form, 1NF. It should only give in the single valid attributes column. Value stored in the column should be of the same domain. All the columns in the table should have unique name, and the other which is stored doesn't matter. So these are the 2N, 3N, and this is 4N. There is no, yes, 4N is there. So these are the anomalies. Now, designing a database.
You think of designing a database on library point of view. In library, what happened? You have what you are going in the library, you are going to issue and return your books. You can take stock verification. These are the work normally done in the library in acquisitions. So on that case, you have to create one table for book, second table for the member of the library, loan table for the transaction. So designing of database is nothing. It's a kind of planning. So when your planning is concrete, so codifications can be done later on. Or sometimes you can correlate with the database tables. Now databases are so flexible you can create. Take examples of the MS Access database. You can create tables over there. You can create form over there. You can correlate with that. So this is the way a database can be done. Same thing, same database can be applied. Uh, Same way you can create databases for the mm, bank, for the schools, for the college, for the university, for the aeroplane aviations, for the railway reservations. But complications of those databases is very high. So we need to understand, we need to study the feasibility of the database, how we are going to study this. So you need to create a planning for creating a databases, designing a database. Now, there are concepts. One is called distributed database system. A distributed database is a collection of multiple interconnected databases, which are spread physically across the various locations that communicate via computer network. Right? What are the features of those distributed database in a collection are logically interrelated with each other. Often they represent a single logical data. Data in a physical store across multiple sites. Data in each site can be managed by DBMS independent of the other site. Now we will tell you when you are uh, sometimes you will find, suppose you are searching your email, you are you are searching or you are logging to your email. Sometimes you will find database name is different in your computer, and sometimes it's different. So there are many databases are there for the any email account. And what happened? Suppose there is a huge network in a particular database server. So immediately second, the mirror server is take care of that. And when you are accessing, so immediately it goes to the second server. So this is the way, and there are also databases is there, and that logic that is called basically logical databases, and they are taking care of your searching or surfing of your email. Sometimes you will find in railway reservation center, uh, suppose one server may be in Hyderabad, second in Calcutta, third in Lucknow. Suppose one database, a server is not accessible, but immediately what happened? They shifted to the different other databases, and which is located in Bangalore or Kolkata. So that database logically connected with that. So immediately they activate. The end user cannot understand what is happening behind. But after a few hours, when that particular Lucknow database server will be up, so there will be a mirroring. So automatically the whole data can be updated. So this kind of systems can be done through a distributed database system. Besides this, the processor in the site are connected via network. They do not have any multiprocessor configuration. The distributed database is not loosely connected file system. Distributed database incorporates transaction processing, but it is not synonymous with the transaction processing system, right? Now, distributed database management system. The distributed database management system is centralized software system that manage distributed databases in a manner as if it were all stored in a single location. Suppose think of a SBI, State Bank of India. It has its server in Bombay, main server, and every branch has one nodes. They are connected, right? So immediately you can understand that okay, so this data is coming from that. that particular branch, but it is not that. All branches connected in one uh, regional location, there is a one centralized server is connected, and that server is also connected with the main server. So it is a kind of distributed. So suppose for a second, the main server is not accessible, and touch wood, main server somewhere has bigger problem, but your data will be safe because you have a distributed database system, data management system. And what are the features of those? It is used to create and retrieve, update, and delete distributed databases. It synchronizes the database periodically. Synchronize, it's done periodically means within a second. So that's why you cannot understand from which server your data is coming up. So periodically and provide access mechanism by the virtue of its distributed become transparent to the user. It ensures that data modified at any site is universally updated. Correct. Suppose a, a reservations counter updating your reservations from New Delhi railway stations. Immediately that updation you can able to find in Howrah railway station. That can be found in Bombay railway station. That can be found immediately within a second in Chennai railway station. How it is possible? Because you have a distributed management, database management system. So these are the features. Besides this, it is a design for the heterogeneous database platform. It maintains confidentiality and data integrity of the databases. It's bring a concreteness in the database and user friendliness, the most important part. So any updation is happening. Suppose any seat is reserved by anybody in any place, immediately that reflecting in your computer. That's the magic of this distributed database management system. Now, factors encouraging DVM, distributed database management system. Why we are choosing? Distributed nature of organization unit. Any organizations throughout the world, all are distributed. Now, every institute understand the need of sharing of data. Without data sharing, it's difficult. Support both OLTP and OLAP, both the connectivity. Database recovery can be done very nicely. There will be no problem. Suppose one is going destroyed, immediately that will take care of. Support for multiple application software. So it can support multiple application software. How multiple application software? I am just giving an example. Suppose you all have done probably railway reservation from IRCTC website. Now, when you are reserving any railway seat, so from home you are using IRCTC website. But when you are reaching to the any railway station, New Delhi railway stations, you will find that they are using character user interface. Their database is different. Their computer is different. Only a standalone computer and only the keyboard they are doing right that way, and that they still they take help of printer of dot matrix printer. So they have different software, different interface, but when we're using at home that particular software databases, so that is different interface. That's why support multiple application software. The most base feature of the distributed database system is that they are more focused on the multi-application software. Advantage, then modular development means suppose when you are using modular means is module. Suppose in why module is, just think of for a second that your application is library oriented. So in library oriented, you have an acquisition model, circulation model, OPAC model, cataloging model, web OPAC model, module. So modular, this is basically module. So this is modular development. Suppose you are developing acquisitions and you are connecting acquisitions with the cataloging with the OPAC OPAC with the circulation, write that. So modular development means when you are required any kind of applications or any extension of applications, you can go with the modular database. This is more reliable, better response, low communications cost. That's the best part of the distributed database management system. Now, database management system for management support. It is nothing, it's a kind of MIS, management information system. It's also called management information system. Now, what is management of information system? It is nothing, it's very clearly, I will tell you that when, suppose you are using library automation software in library. So everything, the uh, circulation, people are doing circulation of the books, cataloging people are doing cataloging part of the of the job, and the person who is in technical section, they are doing technical part. The person who are using who are busy with the acquisitions, they are doing acquisitions module. So everybody doing their own job. But at the end of the day, what librarian will do, being a head of the institute, head of the department, the job of the librarian is become crucial. He has to take many decisions on the basis of the statistics. So how many books being issued per day, he has to find. So immediately go to the database management system. It will give you in a second how many being used in a particular day. Now, not only the book, how many books, it is important to understand which subject in the library are being used extensively, right? So on that part, you have to understand why you are thinking of getting that kind of data. Because when you are allocating budget, the most used department are being allocated much bigger funds than those who are not using the library. You have to focus. Secondly, which book is being issued extensively? This is important. So you need to increase the copy of those books. So this is a minimum management information system. So you need to understand the minimum information required, minimum information, and through that information you can understand the requirement of the end user. So when you are understanding the end user requirement, so you are creating avenues for them. So you are adding a value additions on the on your job, on your part. When you are adding value, then you are increasing the number of the books. You are providing bigger budget to that for a particular department. So these are the things you can take from the management database system for the management support. Second important is how many books at the end of the year, every library, they are taking stock verification. In stock verifications, you're able to understand how many books being lost within a period of time. How could you understand? If you do not have a proper, and that information need to very carefully and very quickly. You cannot do delay on that part. So here, what you can do, you can take the stock, you can match with the existing databases. At the same time, you can take return back of that particular, means you can take the result of the data. You will be able to understand how many books being lost. This is also a very important information. If you find yourself that loss is bigger, then you have to have create a panic among the staff, and you have to be very harsh to everybody that you have to take care of your job. Otherwise, if the loss of books is increasing, then it's a bad part of the library staff, because we are not adopting better library support system in that department. So these are the concepts you can take from a database management system, which are really helpful for the management support, or MIS, management information system. Now, artificial intelligence and expert system are being extensively used in the database and database. If you think of creating a database, suppose a database which today's date uh, there are many databases. Suppose, okay, fine. Take an example of a database of YouTube. You will find yourself when you are searching YouTube, um, you just open and just clear your history, past history, and search history. Then you just off your YouTube. Then you come, you just open again. Now you just find Hindi news or English news, and at least spend half an hour on that and close it. Next time when you will open YouTube, you will find the majority of the news channels in your screen. It's automatically. How it could be possible? Because the server of YouTube and its artificial intelligence and the expert system understand your requirement for the day or your requirement from right now on news, not the music or any other movies or anything, or neither Royce or lecture. So what the server automatically try to giving you recommendations that you can recommend it for you. You will find if you watch Hindu news, so immediately you find other news channels online, other news channels. How could it possible? Can you ever thought of that? How the map you and sometimes you will find, suppose you are searching for a purchasing a computer, so you immediately search from the YouTube databases price of a laptop. So when you search price of a laptop, if you spend 10 minutes of time on that particular video, when you close it, next time you will find there are many videos coming with the price of a laptop. So how it is possible? Because in search process, in a database, there is an expert system or artificial intelligence working behind the screen. They are analyzing your search. They are analyzing your mindset. They are analyzing your thought process. So immediately, when they are analyzing your thought process, immediately they are giving the same kind of data in your database, in your watch list. So that's why it's today's date. The artificial intelligence and expert system is very much important in a database. Now, how it's work? It's basically concept. But how could you understand all those things? Because this artificial intelligence or something like that use fuzzy logic, neural network, genetic algorithm, natural language processing, and expert system. So these are the things they're applying on the artificial intelligence and for creating better search performance, better understanding of the databases. If you now out of those, probably in our concept, in our subject area, expert system has taken care of most extensively. So we'll see how we are going to input the expert system. Expert system is a computer program that designed to solve the complex process and provide decision-making ability like a human expert. It performs this by extracting knowledge from its knowledge base using reasoning and inference rules according to the user queries. So when you are searching something, they analyze your search options and immediately they take a they create a log on that. On the basis of that log, they're returning back you the information. The expert system is a part of the artificial intelligence. And the first expert system was developed in the year 1970. Now, can you think of in 1970 the expert system already being used? In 2020, that means 30 and 20, 50 years. After 50 years, we're studying expert system in a library science course. Now, this has developed in a 50 years of time. Now, I will tell you now which we are studying. This is an old concept in the development of IT applications. The new concept will come, which is right now already developed, which you cannot use it, cannot see it. After 50 years, the common man will use it. But some people are using. That's why they are very smart than us, right? So in 1970s, they are using that expert system. How it's to work? Here, simple input, user interface, rules engine, knowledge based, knowledge from an expert, and it's returning me, they are giving advice, non-expert user. So it is almost act like a customer care or an advisor or an expert kind of thing. So you are just putting something, some such a concept, and it is goes to the expert or customer care person or the remote assistance. They are giving back to you. This is one concept. Now, human expert, knowledge engineer, knowledge-based inference engine. Now, interface. Now, user may not be an expert. So when user may not be expert, so we require a kind of interface either through human or either through machine that they can give us, what is our requirement, because we do not know that. Why we required expert system? Because it has its no emotion, it has a 100% high efficiency. Then expert is in a domain, no memory limitations. There is no memory limitations. It has extensively used for quantum of quantum of time without any limitations. Regular update improve the performance. Every day you require kind of updation on that. So the new information will come up and they can do it. High security. Your information, your advice cannot go to the other people. That will be kept secret. So there is no chance of leakage of information. Then consider all facts. In expert system, they are evaluating every aspect of a system and analyze it, then expertise it, then it's giving back to the end user. So this is the way the expert system is working. So this is all about your designing a database structure and database management system.